Good morning, Apex University. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. My name is Dan, and I'll be your coach for today. So we're looking at a late game fight right here sent in by Movie. He's in a top 2 situation and says he struggles with awareness, his ability to keep track of everything that's going on around him. You see him getting somewhat overwhelmed and he feels like he wasn't useful to his team until it was too late. So, in about a decade's worth of experience, I think awareness is one of the most criminally under-discussed topics there is. Whenever you ask for advice on awareness, you're generally told just to keep playing, and over time your aim and awareness will improve. Now, while these things are definitely true, and those skills come with experience, there are certain things you can do between and in your games to improve your awareness that I would like to teach you in this VOD. Now, we're going to start off by talking about how I want you to think about awareness. I don't want you to think about awareness as keeping track of everything that's going on around you, because the situations are very dynamic, constantly changing in a fast-paced FPS, and a lot of the information thrown at you isn't useful. So instead you need to learn to filter out useless information, know what to pay attention to, and how to use that information for effective decision making. The way that you can train such a thing is by recording your gameplay, going back into the vault, and finding fights where you struggled or felt like you got overwhelmed, like right here. I want you to look at where the fight started, so that would be around here in the vault, find the start and pause it. So we're going to do that right here. Let's have a look. You're about to take a shot at your opponent, but as this fight starts, let's take a moment to make an action plan. Now, what's an action plan? Imagine if I told you I had a custom server ready where tomorrow, with a bunch of players that I've been practicing, we're going to recreate this exact scenario. I'm going to allow you to play this fight again, but this time, because you have experience, I want you to do it better and I want you to win it. Look at this situation for a second. What would you do tonight to prepare to replay this fight? So the way I want you to go about making this action plan is take a screenshot of this situation and open it in a program like Paint. I want you to make notes or draw around every piece of information that you have that you think is going to be important to you. We'll go about it this way. The first piece of information we will talk about is enemies. You and your team are in a top 2 situation, which means we can expect up to 3 opponents. We saw one on the left, right there on low ground. We shot at them and they shot back. There is still a ping where they were seen. Secondly, you found an opponent that is in your crosshairs right now. And thirdly, a last enemy was pinged on high ground. That's all 3. Now, what more information do we have? You have one teammate on the left and you have one teammate on the right side on the high ground. Is this all the information we have? Not quite, there's a little more. This enemy shot back with a triple take. It's important to note that they are using a sniper, and this enemy just threw a Bangalore ulti in front of them. We don't know much about the enemy on the right top. So let's use this information to figure out what you could or should do in this situation and how you want to use this information in the future. So there's a couple things you could do. Your first course of action could be attacking this teammate or this enemy on the left. The problem with attacking this enemy on the left is that in any position to push them, you will be exposed to all 3 enemies. It's also difficult to contest them from the high ground, as you don't quite have the long range weapons to deal with their sniper, and against a sniper is the only weapon where being on the high ground isn't necessarily a good thing. So that option is off the table. Secondly, we've got the enemy in your crosshair right now. We mentioned that they just threw down a Bangalore ulti, which is going to deny a lot of area soon. Getting to them means traversing this area or going around or waiting it out, all of which don't put you in a great position. You will also still be exposed to the sniper from below and the teammate from above. Option 2 also off the table. Your next option would be to stay put exactly where you are. You have a fairly defendable high ground position with a good overview of the battlefield, so far not a bad option. However, you would still be exposed to enemy number 3, you are not quite in a position to help either of your teammates if they get into trouble, and you won't be able to output a lot of effective damage as you can't quite contest the sniper, and you are too far away to follow up on any damage on enemy number 2. So I would say, while it is a better option than option number 1 and 2, it is still not ideal. Lastly, what you could do is push onto the high ground and help your teammate on his fight there. This would create a 2v1 situation and land you and your teammate in a more defendable position where you are less threatened by the sniper and have an easier engage onto the enemy team. So I would say this is the right course of action. Doing this quickly enough, recognizing this information and knowing what to do instinctively will help you. The fact that you respond to many things too slowly and seem to ignore the information that is not right in your crosshairs is what's landing you in difficult spots. Now you might think to yourself, but then this isn't useful because in the game I can't pause, there's too much going on, and so I can't make these decisions. It's very easy when you break them down. The reason it's important to go through your gameplay like this is because you are training your brain which pieces of information are important when and how to use them effectively. Over time you'll start to recognize patterns and situations that you've looked at before. The more experience you gain and the more critically you look at it, the more you will improve your awareness simultaneously with your decision making based on that information. They go hand in hand. One more thing I really wanted to discuss when it comes to your VOD is strafing. Now strafing, as we are about to see as you fight this enemy on your right, is moving back and forth, left and right as they are doing to make yourself harder to predict and harder to hit. Now you might think strafing has nothing to do with awareness. In a way it doesn't, but it kind of does, because the part of awareness that is difficult is getting your brain used to both doing a lot of things while still also understanding a lot of things. You're processing information while performing actions at the same time, and so by being constantly in motion and constantly performing actions, you are helping train your brain to all these activities and still focusing on the pieces of information that matter. With that said, I hope this was helpful. Peace.